Performing the World is a growing community of people looking for or experimenting with positive social change efforts that contribute to a more peaceful, democratic, and equitable world. Many hundreds of them participate in what is now an annual gathering, conference, showcase, as well as an ongoing movement. Most of the presenters at PTW events are innovators approaching play, performance, and the arts as creative and positive ways of engaging social problems, activating communities, and experimenting with new social and political possibilities. They are interested in not simply protesting what we're against, but creating what we need and want on the ground. The focus of Performing the World is on performance activism, on new ways of creating power through play and performance. Performing the World was initiated by the East Side Institute as an in-person conference in 2001 and continued as a physical get-together in New York until 2020, when the COVID pandemic forced it online. While the intimacy of being in the same space was lost, going online opened PTW to new people who didn't have money to fly to New York or who lived in countries that the US denied visas to. Zoom does away with airline tickets and national borders. More grassroots organizers and people from a wider range of nations were able to participate. Last year, we introduced watch parties. People who had registered to PTW invited family, friends, students, colleagues to get together in schools, community centers, libraries, and homes to watch a session together and talk about it afterwards. Thus, PTW opened up even more and became a hybrid activity, combining Zoom and personal interaction. For more information and to join the community Performing the World, you can visit www.performingtheworld.org or Eastside Institute, www.eastsideinstitute.org.
We began planning these 4 days, I'd say about 11 months ago, led by Lois and Dan. We had a design committee that Des and I and Melissa Meyer and David Belmont were all a part of, and it's an incredibly emotional experience to have worked on something and then see it emerge bigger, better, and more powerful than you could have imagined. So thank you all for making that possible and making that happen. We wanted to give you some time to talk to each other, to share some responses, to share quotes that you wrote down or jotted down, the names of events that you noticed, the people or practices that you heard about that struck you. So we're gonna, and also just to talk to each other, right? I think all of us know that the amazing possibilities that have come through Zoom are that we could have the presenters we had here with us today, right? We could not have had, for example, the Freedom Theater with us yesterday in person. So it's amazing what we have been able to create. That Sissy Gould House, a hospital that was taken over by residents in Cape Town, I think 15 years ago, were able to sit and watch people from other parts of Africa talk about their work. That is because of the amazing technology and how we've been able to use it. And we miss the hallways. We miss the water cooler. We miss going out to restaurants together. We miss sleeping at each other's houses. So we're going to create some Zoom rooms. Feel free to take a nap together if that's what you choose to do. But what we'd like you to do is share some of what you experienced over the last 4 days, however long you were able to be here or not. And like I said, that could include quotes and thoughts and ideas, because we're going to do that twice. You're going to get to be in 2 breakout rooms with 2 different groupings of people. And at the end, you're going to create something. So in this first breakout room, just talk, but take notes, because you're going to take that conversation into the breakout room with your second group of people. See what I'm saying? We want to be able to mix it up and be as connected as possible. So spend about 15 minutes with your first 6 people. five people and you. And then you'll come back and you'll go into a room with a different 6 people. So you want to bring some of what happened in your first conversation with you into the second one. I hope that was as confusingly clear as I could be. Des, are our rooms created? Not yet, right?
20 seconds.
Okay.
Okay,
Now we all know with
close it, and then I'm gonna recreate the rooms.
Oh no. I'm in a house with a watch party in the living room and they just went, oh, when we came back to the main room.
If you would just cut off.
Us too.
Well, I hope you took and brought things that were said and felt and created in that conversation, because we're now going to recreate our groups. New groups, of course, given Zoom's crazy whatever, chances are you'll end up in the room with some people you were just in the room with, or your mother or your great uncle or all the people you do know. But we're going to give it a try. We're going to go into new rooms. Now, this time you create a conversation. We're going to give you, I think, Des, I think we got to give them 20 minutes if we're going to ask them to.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, could you say what you're going to ask us to do?
I'm about to say, you're going to create a conversation, share some new things, but definitely bring some of your previous conversation in, what struck you, and come back with a short poem, a collective short poem from this second group, using both conversations to your heart's content. Okay, and somebody in the group should be prepared to share the poem. So make sure somebody in the group has it either written or in the chat, and they're ready to share it with us. Okay. All right, welcome back, welcome back. What we'd like to do is have the people you chose to read your poem raise their virtual hand. So if you're going to read the poem, raise your virtual hands. We've got Alice.
Wait, can I just say something? We didn't get a chance to write it.
So you're going to improvise it, do you think? What do you think?
Probably. Yes, I think we will.
Okay, so
For my group, should I raise my hand or? Okay.
Yes.
Go for it, Jesse.
yes,
You
and
take
then
it back,
everybody in your
Fields.
group can join in.
Thanks, Jesse.
Wait. Hold on, don't spotlight yet. Oh, you're spotlighting everybody. Okay, yes. Do we have all the groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there were 7 groups.
Jan, did you raise your hand?
Cynthia, read for our group, please. Okay, good. Thank you.
4, 5.
Shelley Schwartz. And
Okay.
you have my note in the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
We just
Let
have
me
one more
make
group?
sure. Des, are we missing a group, right?
One group.
There, can I just jump in? We didn't write the poem, Lois, because we didn't pull it together, but everybody wrote their lines.
Yes, I know.
So when
I'll
we
be
get
glad
to,
to. I'll be glad to read
Hey.
the lines from our group.
Yeah.
I'll be glad
Great.
to. read the
I
lines
need
from
to
our
ask
group.
my group.
Good girl.
okay,
I-
Berta, let's spotlight Berta. And then Dan, are you saying somebody from your group is here?
I will do it.
Great.
Jeff is
Jeff
gonna do it.
volunteered.
Okay,
Yes.
so can you spotlight Jeff? Jeff, can you raise your virtual hand?
Yes, I can.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So first of all, thank you. Give them our courageous volunteers a big Zoom. Obviously, this is improvised. If you need to ask your group for support, you may do that, but we wanted to bring up all the groups. So let's begin with you, Alice.
But just to say that I can't see Berta now because there's a chat in front of her face.
Okay.
Here,
Move the chat.
Will you add, I'll start and add whatever you.
No, I give you the power to represent us
Okay.
if the group agrees. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay,
You
then I'm gonna remove
improvise
the
to
spotlight for
create the poetry of our.
Excellent.
Okay.
Alice, you
Okay.
have the power.
Okay,
Create
great.
it.
What does it look like to create peace? I don't want it to look like that. I want it to be that. I feel so seen by a community of people who are so different from each other on the outside. We create new ways of communicating. I don't have to hate the ones who hate me. I am busy loving those who love me.
Yeah.
I would like to love those who do not love me. That is the challenge. Creating home in the context of global community, even virtual community.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm hoping somebody, I know some of these are not yet written, but I hope somebody will put the ones that are in the chat so we can have them saved. And others can email them to us if you need to later. Jan, are you representing the group? Okay.
The group of Jamila Morocco, Dee Boston, Chris Helm, New York, Majo Castrillo, Costa Rica, Cheryl, and myself from New York. That which touches us most is that I've had a chance to work with people. It just takes opening a channel. From early days of Gaza war, a 10-year-old in a hospital bed, Mom, I'm gonna be okay, but is it going to be okay? From the river to the sea, everyone should be free. We perform the activity of humanity.
Thank you. Gwen.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'm going to read our poem, which we collectively wrote. Suicide bomber. First he commits suicide, then he's a bomber. He doesn't know who he's killed. What brought him to that? How many anxiety victims? Suicide, it's a cry for help. War is loud. How can we compete to be louder? People want to live in peace. We create hope from performance. Hope is really hard to hold on to. Guy and Arab work relentlessly, even while enraged, to do something with the other side. And out of that, creating hope. How hard not to give in that others are not human. In a village where the suicide bombers could have lived, sealed in concrete, you feel it as if you were working on rough wood. How difficult it is to see the human. Violence has given birth to creativity. Curiosity is key to relieve you from racism. Channeling violence in the boundaries of creativity. It has created community.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Cynthia.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. I'm gonna drop the poem in the chat and I'm gonna read it, but just wanted to acknowledge my peeps in the shared stage right now. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Majo. Lovely to share the stage with you. So this is our poem. These last 4 days have been a portal for us. They took us into another dimension, being around people who are putting their energy into creating, co-creating across borders with no separation, no borders. Art is the power and the connection. There is nothing to lose but fear.
Beautiful. Okay, Jesse, if I understand
Okay.
it, leading an improvisation, is that right? Or
What'd you say? Yes, yes, we are improvising. It was wonderful, our group. I took a lot of notes, and we want to go beyond words. Arab visits Buchenwald. His rage and tears grow. He and Guy give us so much emotion, vulnerability, stay vulnerable, committed to peace. We experience being on a world stage. Everything impacted. Living in the US amidst the issues being raised in different countries around the world, we felt more worldly and globally connected. Meeting people, creating power, taking on poverty, dancing with deafness, everything moved us tremendously. We remain committed to being vulnerable, to being together, to reaching out for peace, despite the violence and militarism in the world. This is how we change the world and build community. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jesse, and your group. Shelley.
Okay, hi. Our poem starts with a preamble. Can we continue to build at the grassroots, artists and political conversations where we can talk about our pain and our action? Poem is called Sober, How to Get Louder and Not Against. Sober means maybe we can't make a difference. How fearless? What we fear? Fear itself and risk, do risk. What all the money, what all the guns to be more sober. War is louder than new possibilities. Army for getting louder. How do we project? What to project? How not to be against things, the ugliness of words, wanting vengeance. Humanize and creating, bread and puppets. Performance is louder. We wring our hands to head, to cry, what's going on? Can we build from the roots? Where we can give voice to pain, action? We want to change and we want it now, louder. Living, spirit to spirit.
Were you finished, Shelley, or did you freeze?
That was it.
Okay.
That was a dramatic pause.
It was a very dramatic pause. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Jeff.
Okay, this was a waterfall poem. How beautiful people's names are gets me out of the black box. My soul is eroded until I see the world through your eyes. No government is not going to cure any of the problems discussed this weekend. Left out, they made a new word up for dementia, numentia. Creating the power without solutions, the cultural intifada to be led by ordinary people. Playing and performing in the rubble of our minds and the world. So if you see the world, how aren't you an activist?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Can we go back to gallery view, Des?
Fabulous.
I'm sorry, everybody. I have to go put my girl to sleep.
Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you for staying.
Say
was
goodnight
lovely.
to her.
Tell her the
Thank
world
you.
says
Guy.
goodnight to her.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Sweet
guys.
dream.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, before I, Rita, you gotta mute. Thank you. before I turn this over to Dan and Lois for a few, I don't know, final words seems a little too dramatic. And I wanted to ask us to give a big shout out to our intrepid, incredible, undauntable, creative ZJ team, production team, led by Desiree Wandin, Vivi Carrijo from Brazil, Luciana Cool from Brazil, Tony Yao from here in the US, Diane Whitehouse here in the US, and Pavan Nalamothu from here in the US by way of India.
Wonderful.
They have guided us and kept us moving and brought us together with people under really difficult conditions. And we are with them and we are grateful. Lois and Dan, bring us home.
We are home. We're all home without any walls. I don't know what Dan wants to say. But last night, Dan hardly ever looks at his Facebook, and he looked and there were like 60 or 70 notifications. So he started looking at them, and a number of them were about his sermon. So if you don't know, most people don't know that Dan has an Instagram account, which is, I don't know, Dan Friedman 93 or something, but whoever knows it could put it in the chat maybe. And he calls himself a teacher, a rabbi, a preacher, whatever. And so he has a lot of nicknames now, but so one of them was playing, and I had not really remembered it since the times I had heard it about a month ago, maybe. And I love this sermon, and I thought of it as we're ending this weekend, this 4 days. It was about windows, and what Dan speaks about is that when we look at the window of wherever we are regularly, our house, we see the same slit of the world. And it may change with the seasons, but it's the same split. And don't mistake it for the world. Don't mistake it for what's out there. And he urges us to break out and make all different shapes of windows and put them on the ceiling and the floor and on our arms and our legs and our hearts. And it's such a beautiful image. And I feel like this weekend was us creating more and more windows in strange places, or not so strange places, but places that were strange to us, and just making our worlds bigger. So anyway, thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
And I can't wait till your next sermon.
Well, thanks for the shout out. And I also want to shout out, I see that Carrie did it in the chat too, the International Organizing Committee, and this whole new step we took this year to have watch parties. I can't tell you how exciting it is that we have found a hybrid way to include the world from all the countries and for all the people that could never afford to come to New York for a conference or get a visa. And we're doing it in person in all these different schools and centers and libraries and living rooms around the world. I think that's another very important part of what we did together this year. It was a wonderful gathering, and I could never have imagined it would have been. It was as deep and as moving and as inclusive and as articulate and inarticulate and rough and tumble and sophisticated and all that it was. And the variety and the fact that almost every presenter was new to performing the world means so much, I think, to all of us and what we're building. Anyway, you know me, I could, the old Dan, preacher Dan, Rabbi Dan could talk for a long time. But I'll save that for my next sermon. And in the meantime, there are no last words. There just are no.
Great.
And I'm gonna hand it over to Des for to give us some music to give us out. Let's give Des a giant zoom.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone, wherever you are, whether you're in America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, India, Australia, even Antarctica. I would like to thank all of you for being here with us. It's been an amazing 4 days, an emotional roller coaster. Thank you so much for everything that you do, all the contributions. And if you want to continue this journey, because this is called Create the Power, so we're going to keep creating the power, you can visit us at eastsideinstitute.org, and you can see all the future happenings that we have going on, from our literature, our podcast, and some of the future workshops and classes we have. So like Carrie said, let's dance it out.
Three.
Right, and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my songs. Butcher, the baker, the drummer.
Feel free to sing in some chaotic
Makes no difference what
way.
group I'm in.
But sometimes I'm right, I could be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then it makes no difference what you bomb me. And everyday people.
For different folks.
And so on and so on and
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
We got to live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then I still can't figure out the thing I'm in. I see both the and everyday people.
Hey, Rita. I see you in this stuff. Gloria.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Sister. Go there, Sister. We got 1 or 2. Thank you so much to everyone.
Different strokes for
Different folks.
and so on and so forth. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
And everyday
Let's
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon, everyone.